thank you very much. How about a hand for John? Thank you for all the organization. And I don't know if they're still here. The Heitzman, they were awesome. And Merrimack, welcome Merrimack. So I was at Merrimack this year when we played you in hockey, men's ice hockey. And Merrimack scored with 50 seconds to go to tie the game and ended up a tie.
All right.
So I wasn't real happy with it, the team wasn't, but I think it worked out all right. So John, as he said, and it really wasn't a sacrifice getting off the treadmill at that time. I was exhausted and I was looking for a reason to stop. So when he invited me, I was thrilled. Jill Haggerty, who works with me and really manages my schedule, knows there's really one rule that we have in scheduling. And that is anytime there's a request from a student to meet with me or to participate in an event, we make it happen. And then John and Karen came and met with me to explain what I had just committed to. And my enthusiasm waned a little bit. At this university, there are so many unbelievable stories of students and faculty and staff and coaches in our history, the university administration and leadership. And they said, nah, you got to talk about yourself. And I really hate using the words I, me, my. And so I've kind of come up with a way that maybe I can elaborate on myself without necessarily using those words all the time tonight. And we'll see how it goes. I want to talk about 2, maybe 3 things. Now think about this. If I said to you, think of one thing in your life, maybe 2, that you're going to get up here and share with the world that was a profound moment in your life. Could you think of something? Yeah, it took me a while too. And if you really reflect on it, there are hundreds of experiences that you reflect on that really had sort of these aha moments for you. And so while I really wasn't excited about talking about myself, it's really been an interesting opportunity to reflect on a couple stories that I thought might be relevant to you. So that's really what I want to do tonight. I'm going to start by giving you a couple biographical things that will give you some insight into me. And then I'm going to tell a couple stories. The first story is going to be about the afterlife. The second story is going to be about, I would label it, God's presence and perseverance. And then if we have time, I'll brag about BC a little bit. Does that sound good? All right, so I was raised in a town called Port Huron, Michigan, 35,000 people. It is on the Canadian border, separated from Canada by the St. Clair River and Lake Huron, connected to Canada by the Blue Water Bridge. Beautiful area. Thomas Edison grew up in the same hometown as I did, Port Huron, Michigan. Now, those of you who know the story of Thomas Edison may recall that he was kicked out of school. And so as you're listening to me tonight and you get a little bored and you shoot off in different tangents, remember I was educated by the same school district that expelled one of the great geniuses in American history. My parents were educators. So from the earliest I can remember, I had this high value for education and the doors it opened for you, the keys that it handed you for the rest of your life, particularly in a democracy. My grandparents, my maternal grandparents, were deaf. And so rather than think of that growing up as a disability, it was quite the opposite for me and my siblings. There's nothing like being in a room with your peers and seeing your brother on the other side and being able to sign to him and no one else knows what you're saying. And so through my parents as educators, through my grandparents who were hearing impaired, I was really open from the beginning to engaging difference and trying to use that as a way to grow and learn from. I was baptized Methodist. I was raised First Congregationalist. I was married in a Catholic church, and I've been attending Mass for over 30 years. The church of my youth, the minister would invite the local rabbi and the local priest to come and give homilies at our service. And he would reciprocate at the local synagogue and the local Catholic church. Needless to say, I was exposed to a broad way of viewing the world, particularly from a religious standpoint. For me, that validated my faith. And it was reinforced because I'd been exposed to other ways of viewing the world. Never in my life did I ever doubt that there was a God, that Jesus was a son, that there's an afterlife. I was very convicted in those beliefs and my faith. Until Mr. Miller's 10th grade English class. And in this class, he was spending the semester focused on Mark Twain. Now, most of us know Mark Twain is the guy who wrote these amazing stories that really, through the words and experiences of young boys, held up a mirror to our society and showed our hypocrisies, right? And so that's what this class was. And so we read all the books you've read, the Tom Sawyer, the Huck Finn, Pudd'nhead Wilson, Innocents Abroad, Roughing It. And the last book we read was a book called Number 44, The Mysterious Stranger. Has anyone read that book? It's a very obscure book. In fact, it wasn't published until after he had died. And so this is the quick story. The narrator is a teenager who, in the 15th century, he's a printer's apprentice. His name's August. And he lives in this really depressed medieval town. And his particular peer group is really oppressed by those that are in power in the community. And suddenly, one day, this other teenager comes to town, and his name's 44. And 44 lets August know that he has these amazing powers. And suddenly he's changing over and rewarding those who have been oppressed and punishing those who have been the oppressors. As it turns out, number 44 is the devil's nephew. And he takes August all around the world.